Hello, I'm Ben Chadfield, Senior Product Manager at CybSafe, and today I'm going to explain risk quantification, how likelihood and impact are combined to quantify risk. So let's dive in. So the core concepts of CybSafe's risk quantification are that the risk outcomes, the risk categories, are from CebDB. CebDB is the world's most comprehensive cybersecurity database. The risk outcomes are the harm that we're trying to avoid. So we have malware infection, data theft, identity theft and fraud, personal exposure, account compromise as examples. And how we do the calculation, risk simply is likelihood multiplied by impact. And those scores, those risk scores are mapped to categories using methods that I'll explain later. And likelihood is based on the weighted combination of risk factor scores, which I'll address in another video. And impact is based on 3 customizable values: expected monetary loss, expected level of effort, and expected level of disruption. So how do we display risk in the platform? So we have the risk outcome grid, and this has the 8 risk outcomes, and for each one we show the risk outcome ID and title. We have the risk category, low, medium, high, and very high, and then we also show the risk outcome score, which is between 1 and 5, as well as the change in the reporting period. So on the risk overview page, we have a date filter, which you can use to set the reporting period. Then on the individual risk outcome page, so if you click on the malware infection link and go through to the malware infection page, we have the ID and title, how many behaviors are being measured against that, and how many are available, the risk category, the likelihood category, remote, likely, possible, and then the impact category and score. So we take data from various sources: the security behavior events, module completions, test responses, survey responses, activity on the platform, and we combine that through the risk factor scores into an individual human cyber risk score, and all these are mapped together into the likelihood. But first, impact. So each risk outcome has its own impact setting. So that means that you can customize your impact for each of the risk outcomes. Maybe you want to set priorities, or you view malware infection differently from data theft. The impact's greater, so you can tailor that to your specific risk posture. And as I mentioned before, impact is based on the 3 customizable values: expected monetary loss, expected level of effort, and expected level of disruption. Each of those has, when set in the platform, has a value of 1, 2, 3, or 4. We multiply those together to create an impact score between 1 and 64. So the lowest number is 1 times 1 times 1, and the highest number is 4 times 4 times 4 to get 64. And then we map that against this chart here, and we can see how those bands work, and we get the impact score from that of minor, moderate, major, or extreme. So how we customize impact is on the impact settings page, which is in the reports risk section. And as I mentioned before, you select the each risk outcome, so you can set those individually, and you adjust the slider. This is screenshot, and then the impact category will adjust in real time to show you, based on the settings, which impact category those settings will be in, and then you hit apply to save them. Likelihood. So the risk outcome likelihood score, I'll explain that in the risk factor risk factors video, because they are that combination of the weighted risk factors. But just to talk about how the calculation works, once we have got the combination and we do have a number between 0 and 1 to represent the likelihood, that is mapped to the likelihood category based on this chart below. So once we have the likelihood score between 0 and 1, we can then map that onto the likelihood category. So we have remote, unlikely, possible, and likely. And then with impact and likelihood, we multiply those together, and that will get us a number here between 1 and 25. And then we map that accordingly based on this chart, and we get the risk score and risk category. So the risk category will be low, medium, high, or very high. And then that's what we display in the platform.